As Nigeria marks 50 years since the civil war ended, some pressure groups in the southeastern region speak on the process to healing and reconciliation. The groups insist on political inclusion, infrastructure development of the region, and the 2023 Igbo presidency. Our correspondent in Kiruka, Ajogu, reports.
The then head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, had instituted what he termed the 3 R's: reconciliation, reconstruction and rehabilitation right after the civil war ended. He also pronounced a no victor, no vanquished slogan, a move aimed at healing the deep wounds of the war. His words are re-echoed by some commentators who believed not much has been done in the reconciliation and reintegration process. They call for a robust political inclusion and infrastructural development in the southeast, amongst others.
It's now 50 years after the war, and the reason for the war are still with us. All we are saying is that those issues that made our fathers go for war should be addressed. When there is true reconciliation, all these remnants of ventilation of anger and people venting their anger from this would downs.
I don't want to believe that reconciliations has not taken place. What we should be talking about is about the rehabilitations. Now, rehabilitation by way of infrastructural development within the southeast geopolitical zone. We have 6 geopolitical zones, and political power is being distributed along these 6 zones. The 5 zones have benefited to serve within this country in the office of the president. The only way to establish that there is no victor, no vanquish is simple. A Southeasterner that will do what the president of Nigeria by 2023.
Some elder statesmen also share opinions of ways towards reconciliation.
People from the southern region of Nigeria have been calling for roundtable discussion so that we can renegotiate in Nigeria. We can discuss about our future as a people. Like I said earlier, we believe in Nigeria. Here in every part of Nigeria, you will see the Igbo people are there believing that we are one.
If you have to make progress, you have to abide by the principles of federation. The principles of federation means that each group, first of all, you have to identify those who are federating, and you must leave the inherent powers with them. The powers going to the center must be powers agreed by the federating units to donate to the center.
Even though the narrative is back, dated to the 3 R's of General Gowon, yielding the fruit of peace and unity will depend on the adoption of very vivid strategies. Nkiruka, Ajogu, Channels Television News.
And still in the southeast, Senator Hope Uzodimma has been sworn in as governor of Imo State with a promise to run an all-inclusive government irrespective of party affiliation, religion or ethnicity. Immediately after being sworn in at the Heroes Square in Owerri, the state capital, Governor Uzodimma assured the people of the state that his government will build hope for the common masses. He says it's time to join hands and build the Imo of their dreams. Professor Placid Njoko was also sworn in as deputy governor.
It is a victory against corruption. It is victory against impunity. It is victory for prosperity. It is victory for justice. Be rest assured that no one shall be isolated or excluded from governance on account of political party, religion, place of origin, or social orientation. We all have equal stake in the new Imo. My government shall be a faithful covenant between the people and the government. I shall execute with utmost diligence and fidelity the 5 cardinal programs of my administration, anchored on the 3 R's. That is reconstruction, rehabilitation, and the recovery.
And back here in Lagos, motorists and travelers plying the Lagos-Ibadan expressway say they're facing a hard time on the road with increased congestion caused by the ongoing reconstruction work on different sections of the expressway. Many of the road users got stuck on the road for hours today following the gridlock, which left a tailback that extended into surrounding routes. Our correspondent, Daredo, reports.
The reconstruction work on the outbound section of the car axis of the Lagos-Ibadan expressway has resumed fully, and it is coming with a frustrating experience for many road users. Inbound and outbound sections blocked, a gridlock caused by a broken-down vehicle, the usual nightmare for road users and traffic management officials on this road.
If for any little hitch, let's assume that a vehicle broke down and we want to tow it off, definitely you know that there will be a small backup. And you start creating extra lane, you are complicating the problem. So I want to appeal to them that there is need for everybody to obey traffic rules and regulations on the part of the motoring public.
Many resort to trekking to their destinations or at least cover some distance. They are discouraged not only as a result of being stuck in the congestion, but also the sharp hike in the fare. For these commercial motorcyclists, business is booming as many patronize them to escape the gridlock.
It's very sad. They should do something. All the policemen are just, at peripheral. They should be on the road directing traffic.
I've been there since 5 o'clock, so the situation is bad.
On Tuesday, the Federal Minister of Works announcing resumed traffic diversion to complete the project on this axis of the ever-busy road.
Motorists should also ensure that their vehicles are in good condition before moving out, because that is part of what we've been experiencing here, breaking down of vehicles in and around diversion areas.
The ministry says it is targeting the end of February for the completion of the Berger to Kara axis of the expressway. Until then, this may become a daily experience for motorists and other users of the road. Dari Idowu, Channels Television News.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Bisi Adebayo.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Ejioma. Welcome to Business News. The federal government has commenced the implementation of the newly introduced 7.5% increase in the value-added tax on transactions and related tax adjustments in 2019 Finance Act. This was made known by the Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Ahmed Idris, while addressing journalists today in Abuja. The new VAT rate is one of the provisions included in the finance bill signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday after it was passed by the National Assembly on November the 21st, 2019. The Accountant General says he stopped the payment of a certain amount for a transaction that occurred in 2019 on Tuesday because the VAT was processed at 5%. He further explains that the new Finance Act will provide efficiency in the administration of individual income taxes in Nigeria and raise revenues for government by various fiscal measures. Let's take some company news now. Tier 1 lender Access Bank has announced plans to expand its businesses into the Republic of Cameroon. In a statement sent to the Nigerian Stock Exchange today, the company says it obtained a no-objection approval from the Apex Bank to set up a subsidiary in the Central African country. According to the statement, the new subsidiary is expected to take off once regulatory approvals are obtained in Cameroon, while local media reports in the country suggest that its headquarters will be in its largest city and economic capital, Douala. Staying with company news, listed small-cap brewer Champion Breweries has appointed Mr. Georgios Polymenakos as the new managing director of the company with effect from January the 6th, 2020. His appointment follows the resolution made by the company's board at their meeting held on Thursday, December the 12th, 2019. In a letter sent to the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the indigenous brewer says Mr. Polymenakos replaces Mr. Patrick Ejido, who retired after serving 3 years as managing director of the company. Prior to his appointment, Mr. Polymenakos was the managing director of Nigerian Bottling Company Limited until October 2019. Now, more than 295 billion naira is lost due to extended sell pressure at the domestic stock market as negative sentiment enters a second consecutive day. Here's Teniola Shubawali with a summary of today's trading figures.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Another 114 billion naira is lost to more profit taken by investors at the NSE today as the equities market records its second round of loss within the month. After maintaining an 8 consecutive day rally within the start of the year, the general index of listed equities fell further by 0.75%, while the market's overall value slipped slightly below the 15 trillion naira mark. This comes as extended sell pressure hit the share price of high-value stocks such as MTN Nigeria and Boa Cement, as well as some mid-cap equities across 4 major counters of the NSE. From a list of 11 gainers, the share price of Better Glass is best performer, following a 10% increase. Livestock, Feeds and Sovereign Trust are worst among 17 losers, both down by 9.09%, while Morrison Industries is the major contributor to more than 360 million shares traded for Wednesday. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Teniola Shoboale.
Many thanks, Tenny. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed the first phase of the new trade agreement with China after more than 2 years of rising tension between the world's biggest economic superpowers. The new deal commits China to boost purchases in U.S. manufacturing services, agriculture, and in energy from 2017 levels by $200 billion over the next 2 years. Meanwhile, President Trump says about 25% tariffs on a vast array of $250 billion Chinese industrial goods and components used by U.S. manufacturers would remain in place until the second phase of the deal is signed. Meanwhile, analysts say it's unlikely that the deal will produce gains sufficient to outweigh the losses, which has already dented the global economy. And let's talk about stocks on Wall Street now. They actually surged to record highs before pulling back slightly into the close of Wednesday's trading session, and that's amid concerns over a new trade deal between the world's 2 largest economies. Here are some snapshots of the global market's closing figures. And that's it on Business News. It's back to you, Ijoma.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, BC. Still ahead on the news at 10, Russia's prime minister resigns after President Vladimir Putin proposed sweeping constitutional reforms aimed at transferring power from the president to parliament. And more from our London bureau and around the world in 5. Just stay with us.